the Columbia Chamber of Commerce's weekly webinar. This program is being recorded and will be available on the Chamber social media pages.
+17574789811.
And on the
is
Chamber
now joining.
And on the Chamber's COVID-19 resource website located at columbiamochamber.com following this event. If you have not done so already, please mute your microphone so that our guest speakers can be heard easily by everyone on the call.
+15736074001.
We would also like to know
joining.
who is joining on the call today, so please take a moment and type in your name of your business or your organization in the chat feature so that we can track and see who is all on the call. Lastly, if time allows, at the end of the webinar, we will take questions via the meeting chat feature. If you have a question, please type it into the chat box and we will do our best to answer it at the end of the webinar. We want to let you know that there are multiple options for federal financial aid, for financial relief for small businesses over the last couple of weeks that have come out. Today, we will be discussing specifically the Payroll Protection Program, as it was passed as part of the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, also known as the CARES Act. The SBA will allow lenders to process applications starting tomorrow, Friday, April the 3rd. The program is specifically for payroll expense support, which also can include operating expense of mortgage interest, rent payments, and utilities. Today, we've asked two of our local banks and a local CPA to discuss the Payroll Protection Program in general and try to answer your questions. Please note that many of the financial institutions in Columbia and in our area are able to assist you with this process. We would encourage you to reach out and discuss the program with your options with your current financial institution that you work with and have a relationship with. We'd also encourage you to contact your current CPA, Certified Public Accountant, for assistance as well. The Chamber staff has contacted all Chamber member financial institutions in our area, asking them if they are participating in the program and who to contact at their institutions. During the webinar today, we'll display a list of those financial institutions. We'll also post the list on our website and update it as needed. The list is complete as of close of business yesterday, Wednesday, April the 1st.
What are you doing?
If you do not see your financial institution on the list, we still encourage you to them, as we may not have heard back from them in time for. Note, this is a very fluid and changing situation, even with the Payroll Protection Program. This is why we encourage you to contact your current financial institution and CPA. So let's go ahead and get started. Joining us on the call to give financial and accounting perspectives on the Payroll Protection Program and requirements for the program are Jamie Palmer with Central Bank of Boone County, Karen Bell with the Bank of Missouri, and Laura Cutler with Williams Keepers LLC. I'd like to thank them all for taking time out of their busy schedules to be on the webinar this morning. Just real fast, I'd like to check, are all three of you on the call?
Laura,
hi, Matt.
here. Jamie.
Sounds like we have all three. Again, for everyone attending, please be sure your microphone is muted throughout the duration of the webinar. And if you have questions, type them into the chat feature and we'll try to get to those as we get to the end of the event. I'm now going to hand over to our three presenters so they can fill us in on Paycheck Protection Program and help us understand the process that businesses will need to go through so that they can be prepared and act quickly. And so with that, I know our three presenters met yesterday to talk about this process. So I'm going to turn it over to the three of you, and who would like to go and begin and get us rolling.
+15738183721.
This is Jamie Palmer, Central Bank of Boone
joining.
County, and I will be leading off to talk about the Paycheck Protection Program, which authorized up to $349 billion in forgivable loans to small businesses. An important note, all loan terms will be the same for everyone. The loan amounts within this program are eligible for forgiveness so long as loan proceeds are used to cover payroll costs, and a portion of that loan proceed amount can be used for mortgage interest, rent, and utility costs during an 8-week period following loan origination. There is an important note as to how this calculation is made for the loan amount. We'll talk about that a little later, but I know everyone's very concerned about when can you apply. As Matt mentioned, starting April 3rd, small businesses and sole proprietorships can begin to apply for this loan program. They've set a date of 1 week later, April 10th, for independent contractors and self-employed individuals to apply for and receive loans to cover their payroll and other certain expenses. So where can you apply? As Matt mentioned, the Chamber is collecting a list of local financial institutions that will be eligible. There's a number of existing SBA preferred lending partners in our community. If you'd like, there's also a list on SBA.gov that'll list additional SBA lenders. I'll turn it over to Karen.
Good morning, everyone. So the other question everybody asks is who can apply? Well, all businesses, for the most part, are going to be eligible for this, including nonprofits, veteran organizations, tribal businesses concerned, sole proprietors, self-employed individuals, and independent contractors. The one caveat that we are still waiting for complete guidance on the nonprofits. They do have to be privately owned nonprofits, and they have to be generating revenue. So there's been a lot of questions on, is a church eligible? The word that I have received at this point is
+15737333689.
no, a church is not
Is now
eligible,
exiting.
But if a daycare is operating in a church, yes, they would be eligible. So there is still a lot of information coming down from SBA and the Treasury about some still open-end questions. But what we know as of right now, those are the type of industries that will be available for that. SBA has what is called an affiliate relationship. So if you own multiple businesses, that restriction is being waived for this particular program only if it is a hospitality, a restaurant, and a franchise. So they would still apply as individual entities as long as they have separate federal ID numbers.
+15734473355.
To
Is now
actually
joining.
apply, what you will need to do is to complete the application that you can get from your lender, and there will be required documentation that you will have to submit that the lender will have to verify. And it will be payroll information, registers, copies of mortgage checks and interest. So there will be a list that your provider will give to you that they will be requesting you to submit. Jamie, back to you.
Thanks, Karen. So if any of you on the call are familiar with typical SBA lending programs, you may be familiar with the credit elsewhere test, which would say that if a applicant is able under normal conventional lending terms to obtain credit elsewhere from a financial institution, then a government guaranteed loan may not be a good choice for them. They may not be eligible. However, with the Paycheck Protection Program, that is a waived requirement, thus making any business with fewer than 500 employees who has payroll and under the categories that Karen just mentioned eligible for this program. The big question, how long will the program last? The program is open through June 30th. There is encouragement to apply soon. As we all know that $349 billion diced across the nation, across many small businesses, could go before that June 30 date. Of course, we are hopeful that our legislators will release additional funding if that money is dried up more quickly than anticipated. And then there's questions as to how many loans can be taken out under the program. You heard Karen speak about the affiliation aspect. Typically, one business entity, one loan is how I would look at that presently. Back to Karen for what these loans can be used for.
Okay, so the proceeds of the loan will be to cover payroll costs, including benefits. That's health insurance, any other benefits, retirement that you also add in, interest on mortgage obligations that it started after February 15th, which is the part of the covered period, rent under any lease agreement that is in force after February 15th or as of February 15th, and then utilities for this service as well. So there's a covered period that they're saying is from February 15th to June 30th. So that is when you talk about they need documentation for it. It's anything that was in effect for your business as of February 15th. Now, the question is, what counts as a payroll cost? So it would be salary, wages, commissions that you pay. Is they are capping that at $100,000. So when you're calculating your payroll, if you have an employee that makes $120,000, you are not going to include that extra $20,000. Employee benefits included in the cost would be vacation, parental, family medical leave, sick leave, if you have allowances for separations or dismissals.
Plus
Payments
one
that are
five seven 365799707.
Payments that are
Is now
required for the
exiting.
provision of your health insurance, so insurance premiums and payments on retirement. Also, if your company has state and local assessed taxes on compensation. And then for a sole proprietor or an independent contractor, it would include your wages, commissions, income, and net earnings from self-employment. Again, that is capped at that $100,000 annual basis for each employee.
So as for loan amounts, loan amounts are calculated based upon 2.5 times average monthly payroll costs. You may also see that stated as for a loan can be for up to 2 months of average monthly payroll costs from the last year, plus amount. These loans are subject to a $10 million cap. In terms of forgiveness, a portion of this loan may be forgiven if the loan amount is used for payroll costs, mortgage interest, rent, and utilities over the 8-week period between loan origination and thereafter. The Treasury has warned us that we expect a high number of individuals to apply for forgiveness. And so if any more than 25% of the loan is used for anything other than payroll, it's likely that that amount may not be forgiven. Further, the interest on this loan will not be, in my interpretation today, forgiven. That would be owed by the borrower. So there are some key pieces here as to maintaining staff and payroll. Your loan forgiveness will be reduced if you decrease your full-time employee headcount. It can also be reduced if you decrease salaries and wages by more than 25% for an employee that's making less than $100,000. But a key note is that rehiring employees is critical. If you have laid off employees, you have until June 30th to restore your full-time employment and salary levels for any changes made between February 15th and April 26th. So if you have laid off employees between February 15th and April 26th, so long as you rehire those employees by June 30th, you'll still be eligible for the forgiveness. Now, that forgiveness piece will be done through your lender that's servicing the loan, and they'll request documents to verify the number of your FTEs, the pay rates, as well as any of the eligible expenses that loan proceeds were used for. And you will be making certifications that those documents are true and accurate in order to be eligible for that forgiveness. I'll turn it over to Karen for a few more details.
So the interest rate we had once heard was going to be capped at 4%, but when the program came out, it actually was stated to be a 0.5%, a 0.5%. We are waiting for true confirmation that this is going to be consistent. So again, like every government program, there could be changes before everything is finalized. But as of today, the interest rate is a 0.5%. As far as when you will start paying interest on your loan, when you get your loan, the lender will defer all payments for 6 months. So you will not have a payment due for 6 months. But know that the interest will be accruing on that during that period. How long will you have to pay out? So after your loan, if you apply for forgiveness, if there is a portion that is forgiven, the unforgiven amount will be termed over a 2-year period as of right now. And you will be expected to pay that back. You can pay it back early without any penalty. So if things go really well and you just want to eliminate this loan, you can go ahead and pay it without any prepayment penalties. The question on collateral, there is no collateral that is going to be required on these loans. And there is no personal guarantees from the owners that will be on these loans as well. The big part
Plus
of this
15738239992
is going to be
Is now joining.
certification of the borrower that what they have provided to their lender is accurate. And so that is going to be a really important note that borrowers need to know, that they will be self-certifying.
Plus 15738748100
because of the
Is now
current
joining.
economic problems with COVID-19. And they will certify that the funds are going to be to retain workers and maintain payroll. One thing I would like to note is these funds are not to back pay. These funds are to get people back to work and to go forward. So you will be using it to continue your payroll or to restart your payroll for those 8 weeks, and you will be certifying that on this form as well. You'll also provide the lender with the documentation and certifying that everything is correct.
Plus
So you'll
15734894070
Is now
You'll
joining.
submit your payroll and all of your payroll records that your lender is requesting, and you will certify that those are true and accurate. The thing to keep in mind is even though you are not providing a personal guarantee, it does not mean that the government will not come back and get recourse for you if you misrepresent the financials on this. It is still a crime to provide the wrong information to your lender to get this. And again, those will be on the front page of the application that you will be certifying.
So Laura Cutler from Williams Keepers is also joining us, and we know our accounting firms and attorneys are really great resources during this process and interpreting the guidance you're receiving for the Paycheck Protection Program. Laura, can you tell us about what you all have been doing at Williams Keepers?
Thank you, Jamie. Well, we've been very busy, as I know our members of the banking community have been too, and our business owners as well, trying to navigate the situation that's taken us by surprise a little bit. So we are in the depths of just kind of combing through all of the information that's out there and trying to work closely with our lenders with a lot of good questions back and forth and trying to organize the best information that's out there. There isn't a ton of information and guidance, and I know that that has been causing a lot of questions to come up, and we're kind of hoping that everybody just works closely, specifically with their own CPAs and the lenders that they already have a relationship with to discuss those questions. I do want to note that we've had a lot of internal conversations at Williams Keepers. And one of the questions that has come up is about the taxability of the loan forgiveness, and that loan forgiveness is not taxable income. So in a typical situation, loan indebtedness that has been forgiven that you would no longer be required to pay is typically taxable income. So in this case, however, they've specifically excluded this loan forgiveness as taxable income to those businesses. So it is exempt from tax. And then another note is that the expenses, however, that you're covering with that loan, we anticipate those to still be deductible. Now, they haven't specifically mentioned that, but because they've specifically excluded the loan forgiveness from income, there isn't anything in there that says that those expenses should not be deductible. So we anticipate those deductions for payroll and rent and those other items to still be deducted. So those are just a couple of items regarding specifically the income tax piece of that. That's really all the conversations that Jamie and Karen have already talked about in here. Those are the kind of questions that we are analyzing internally as well. To work with, I know payroll is going to be one of the biggest items that are going to be required for these loan applications. And just clearing that information, providing it to your CPA, having them review it before you turn it into your lenders will hopefully help that process be navigated in the most seamless manner. So those are a couple of things that we've been working on, a lot of client-specific questions that we've been getting. So I don't know if we have any specific questions, but that's in a general sense, that's what we've been working on.
Laura, thank you. And Jamie and Karen, thank y'all so very much for the information. Was there anything else you wanted to hit on, or would you like to take some questions now?
We're eager for questions. We've spent a lot of our days lately talking with our clients and would like to hear what the chamber members need to know.
Yeah, we have one that's on chat, and then I've got a number from our members that have emailed them out to us as well. How will the PPP work for small business owners who don't pay themselves on a normal payroll schedule or take draws?
I'll address that, Matt. If they're taking draws, we are still waiting for guidance from the SBA and the Treasury. That has not actually been specified to us yet on draws and distributions.
Okay. We've had that question multiple times for LLCs and everyone, so thank you. So again, get with your financial institution, but waiting for direction on those. Is there any guidelines out there that are on the forgiveness aspect of it that spells that out?
Matt, I saw a really nice guideline from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce.
Yes.
There's a nice 4-page
Mm-hmm.
piece, and that talks about the forgiveness aspects that we discussed today in a way that's easy to understand. I'd encourage anyone who hasn't seen that to look out for U.S. Chamber of Commerce and Google their COVID-19 CARES Act information.
We actually had sent that out in an email earlier this week to all of our members. We've posted it on our social media and is also on our website under our COVID-19 resource page, the link to that 4-page. It has been updated from the original one to, they updated it yesterday, last night, I believe, to have the new information that's been brought up since all this has started. So make sure that you check that out because it is a great guideline piece. One of the other questions that we've been getting is subcontractors. A lot of our businesses use 1099 subcontractors. Can they be included as in your monthly payroll configurations?
This is Karen.
Laura. That is another one that we are still looking to get guidance on. We are leaning towards if the subcontractor kind of acts more in an employee capacity. Obviously, they aren't an employee, but if they do, we would anticipate them being part of that qualifying amount. There is not specific guidance on that at this time. Yeah. So that's another one that we're waiting for guidance. We can't specifically answer that question.
Okay. I know that that's one of those portions that is through U.S. Chamber of Commerce conference calls we've been on is still up for interpretation, and they're pushing to get that interpreted and get that interpretation done and get it out to all of the financial institutions nationwide. So a couple other questions.
+15733569567.
If somebody has already gone through the process of applying for the original SBA disaster recovery loans that came out in phase 2 of the federal package, are they able to still go for the PPP program? Is there a bridge that links them over to being able to shift to this program if this is a better option for them? Also, we have somebody asking on that same regards, if somebody's applied for and received the $10,000 EIDL advance, how does that also impact the PPP?
We're seeing today on a form just issued prior to this call that refinancing of an eligible economic injury disaster loan is possible into the Paycheck Protection Program. I would say this is probably yet another area where all financial institutions would like some additional guidance to understand that interaction, but certainly at no time should funds from an economic injury disaster loan and a Paycheck Protection Program loan be used for the same expense. I think that's going to be one of the key pieces.
Okay. One of the questions we had from somebody on the chat, and I'd also encourage everybody, if you would, please put your business name in.
+15734894070.
If you're still
now
operational and have income, but it has decreased, are you eligible for the PPP and forgiveness?
Yes, I don't
So
know that there's anything that would disqualify you from still being able to have the loan.
What I've said to clients on that point is if you can certify, as those statements at the bottom of the application read, that you, and I'm scrolling to them now, that the current economic uncertainty makes this loan request necessary to support ongoing operations. You have to be able to certify each of those things. And so long as in good faith you can certify each of those, even if you still have revenues coming in and you're operational, you can still potentially apply.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I'd also remind everybody to make sure that they have their microphones on mute so we can everybody can hear the questions and the answers. Can we use the payroll tax deferral at the same time as the PPP program? The payroll tax deferral was one of the different relief packages that were put out there.
To sort that out. But right now, I'm being told that
+15738647960.
I would say on
Is
that
now
question,
exiting.
I would say on that question, from the chamber's side, our last webinar that we had the U.S. Chamber on that had a slideshow, had a slide deck that is loaded up on our website that takes every one of these pieces and kind of breaks it down and what can be mixed with what. And I believe there's information on the payroll tax deferral and it's mixed with the PPP. I also want to let everybody know that our communications director, Mary Kate, has loaded up the link to the U.S. Chamber's guide that was referenced earlier. So you can click on that through the chat feature and open up that guide and be able to look at that. We just received another question. Do all employees of the LLC count for payroll, or do they have to be full-time equivalent employees?
They do not have to be full-time equivalents, to my knowledge.
Okay.
No, they don't.
I agree.
Okay. As an LLC that has been in continuous business for many years, when calculating the monthly payroll, do they look at 2019 payroll amounts? So the calendar year of January through December 2019, the last 12 months prior to this, or a specific set of months that they need to look at?
So they can look at their 2012 from January to December. If they haven't been in business that long, they can use from the period of, if they just started their business January to the February 15th. If they are a seasonal business, they can look from February 15th of 2019 to February 15th, 2020.
Okay. And all financial institutions are working under the same guidelines as they come out from the Treasury and the federal government, correct?
So that's correct. For the most part, yes, we're all under the exact same guidelines.
Okay.
There may be lenders who might ask for one or two additional documents that their bank would require, but for the most part, we are all
+157481000.
Is now
we all
exiting.
have the guidelines as to what we need to validate the loan request and the forgiveness.
Okay. On the wage cap of 100,000, does this mean an employee regularly paid over 100,000 cannot be included at all? Or does it mean 100,000 can be included, but not the excess when calculating the average payroll?
It is the
It is the
excess that
excess
is
over
excluded.
100,000.
The excess portion?
Correct.
Yes.
I'm not sure if I understand this question. Maybe, hopefully, y'all are work comp premiums included as a payroll cost for the PPP program?
We
I don't-
believe that they are, because they are an insurance that is attributed to, and it would be the local or state, but we are also waiting for confirmation on exactly that.
Okay. Yeah. It looks like that's all the questions that we've had added to the meeting chat, or the questions that have been emailed to us prior to or text to us and such by members. Is there anything else that you want to make sure that you touch on before we start wrapping up for the three of y'all?
I think a point you made, Matt, that was really call is to work with your existing financial institution with whom you have a relationship. Certainly any local bank will be happy to assist during this time. But having that relationship prior is very helpful. And having a good relationship with your financial partners, such as accountants, attorneys, who can help advise you, and be watching for additional guidance. You know, we are eagerly awaiting that SBA guidance today and hope to be able to clarify on some of these finer points that we've had some gray on today.
Okay, thank you. Actually, we just got a couple more questions popped up, so would y'all mind taking a couple more?
Sure.
Does the $100,000 pay include benefit costs for that employee?
Laura, how have you guided?
It does. There are some items specifically included, but I think generally speaking, like healthcare costs and other benefits for that employee are included in those payroll costs.
Okay. We got two very similar questions here. What's the expected time frame for the acceptance and disbursement of the funds? What's the turnaround time frame for loans proceeding? Thoughts there?
Well, I think that's going to be really dependent on each of the lenders. We're all going to receive numerous applications, and we're going to process them as soon as we possibly can. So that will be, you know, dependent on what your lender is able to do and what the backlog they have.
Okay. Are federal payroll taxes, Social Security, Medicare included in benefits?
From what we're told, from what I know, no, they are not.
+15734473355
is now exiting.
The guidance we've received is state and local required taxes, so more like workers' comp, but any federal taxes, because those are normally withheld from an employee's check, other than the FICA match, and we do not believe that that is going to be eligible.
Okay, thank you. Well, this time we'd like to thank all of our speakers for taking time out of your extremely busy schedules to speak with our business community. We know how busy you are, especially tomorrow morning as things start up. We also are forever grateful for all the work you and our other financial institutions and CPAs have put in to help all of our businesses navigate these unprecedented times in our community and across the nation. Again, please note, as been said multiple times, that many financial institutions, CPAs in Columbia and in our area can assist you with the process. We'd encourage you to reach out and discuss the program and your options with your current financial institution CPA that you currently have that relationship with. The list has been scrolling.
+17574789811
that we heard back
is now
from
exiting.
At the close of business yesterday. That list will also be posted on our website at ColumbiaMoChamber.com
is now exiting.
under our COVID-19 resource page.
Multiple
Again, this
people
is
are
a
now
very
exiting.
fluid and changing situation. Therefore, we encourage you to make sure you're contacting your current financial institution. As you heard, they are still receiving information from the federal government of how this is going to work, and will continue to do so. So please make sure you reach out.
Multiple people are now exiting.
Those that you have relationship with. Please join us for our upcoming webinars next week. You'll see those on the screen. Please note the topics are subject to change
Is now exiting.
as this is a fluid situation as things continue. Thank you to all that joined us today and taking time to do so. We understand how challenging and difficult these last few
Is
weeks
now
have
exiting.
been for both you personally and professionally. Please know that everyone
+15738239992
today in the Columbia Chamber and
Is
all our
now
community
exiting.
partners are here to help. Please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn for continued updates, as well as our website. Also be watching for the other webinars coming up. And thank you for attending, and stay safe.